Hey guys, so I hope you are having a lovely day. I'm really excited to share this big book haul with you guys. Basically, I didn't buy any books for about a month and a half because we moved house and I realised I had way too many books, and then it got to me and I lost all self-control and now I own so many fab new books. I went on a massive charity shop book binge, and I mean massive. So I'm probably not going to read all of the blurbs like I normally do, and I'll just give a quick synopsis, but loads of these are books I've wanted to own for so long and I'm just ready. Okay, first up is The Party by Elizabeth Day. I got this in April's Reading in Heels box. It's all about a boy called Martin and his friend Ben who went to school together, and they basically end up at a party together, and it dredges up something suspicious that happened at school. I've seen quite a few people talking about this on Instagram and I hadn't really heard of the author before, so now that I've actually seen people talking about it I feel a bit more hopeful, because at first I worried that it was going to be a bit rubbish. And then this is something I've wanted to have for ages. The cover's beautiful. It's called The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. This is a young adult book and the blurb says, Lenny Walker, 17, Wuthering Heights obsessed, clarinet player, band geek, also hopeless romantic, prone to scattering poems all over town, and as of 4 weeks ago, sisterless. So I absolutely, my sister is my best friend and I can't imagine losing her, and when I do I get really upset, so I already know that this book is probably going to make me cry. Also, I love Wuthering Heights, so yeah, it just sounds really beautiful. And I've heard, I think Zoella had it in one of her autumn book club things, so if she didn't then I don't know where I got that from. This is something completely different. It's The Third Reich by Roberto Bolaño. I read The Savage Detectives by him, which was the longest book I read last year. I think it was like 800 or 900 pages. It went on forever, but it was really interesting. And this, again, yeah, he's very kind of like a politically minded author. So obviously being about the Third Reich, this is going to be quite thought-provoking and I guess probably very intense. Right, and next up is On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I love her, she's just incredible, and I didn't actually know that she'd written a fiction book, but it sounds really sweet. I'll read you the blurb because it is cute. So, Evie Snow is 82 when she quietly passes away in her sleep. It's the way most people wish to leave the world, but when Evie reaches the door of her own private heaven, she finds that she's become her 27-year-old self, and the door won't open. Evie's soul must be light enough to pass through, so she needs to get rid of whatever is making it heavy. For Evie, this means unburdening herself of 3 secrets which have weighed her down for over 50 years, before it's too late. As Evie begins the journey of a lifetime, she learns more about life and love than she ever thought possible, and somehow, some way, she may also find her way back to the only man she ever truly loved. Does that not sound incredible? I've not heard of any kind of plot like this before. It might just be because I've not heard of it, but yeah, the idea that you can't, I guess it's a pretty obvious idea, but you can't get into heaven until you've gone back and gotten rid of the bad things that you've done. But I think it sounds really beautiful and just cute. And speaking of beautiful, this is another thing that I think Zoella recommended that I've wanted to read for quite a while. It's Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard. I've bought A Quiet Kind of Thunder by her recently. I was trying to remember the name there. And yeah, this is about kind of teenage friendship, and again it's a young adult novel. I love the cover, it's just shiny and beautiful, and yeah, there were so many little things that I didn't notice, like the 3 hands coming up at the bottom. Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. The Absolutist by John Boyne is next up on the list, and John Boyne is kind of becoming one of my favourite authors. I obviously read A Boy in the Striped Pyjamas years and years ago. Oh god, my voice. But a couple of months ago I read The House of Special Purpose. I don't know what's happening to my voice. And it made me cry. The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas made me cry. I love books that make me cry. I want books to make me feel something. And John Boyne is just incredible about that. He also writes historical novels, which I again love. So this one is set in World War One, I think. Yeah, World War One. And I just know that it's going to be fab. So Brick Lane by Monica Ali is a book that I heard about probably in my first year of uni, and somebody said it was absolutely incredible and that everybody needs to read it, but I've never come across it in the flesh. So the blurb says, at the tender age of 18, Nazneen's life is turned upside down. After an arranged marriage to a man 20 years her elder, she exchanges her Bangladeshi village for a block of flats in London's East End. In this new world where poor people can be fat and even dogs go on diets, she struggles to make sense of her existence and do her duty to her husband. But Nazneen submits as she must to fate and devotes her life to raising her family and slapping down her demons of discontent until she becomes aware of a young radical, Karim. So yeah, this sounds... I've heard it's really just insightful into what it's like to live in London and not be white and struggle against kind of your own ideas of your race and other people's ideas as well, and how that kind of merges together. So yeah, it sounds incredible. And this, I love the cover of this. It's just, I don't even know what it reminds me of. There's something on Instagram, not just butts, but I think it's Sketch in London with all the pink balls. This just, I don't know, it reminds me of it. So this is Diary of a Manhattan Cool Girl by Tracy Kwan. And it, yeah, as it says on the tin, it's all about what it's really, really like to be a cool girl living in London, not in London, living in New York. And I think it sounds fab, because the only kind of impression that you get of cool girls is when they end up dead on CSI. Well, I'm hyped, I'm ready. It's nice and short, but I feel like, well, the font's quite small, but I feel like it'll just be packed with really good little tidbits and just, yeah, a really cool insight into something that I don't really know very much about. And then, oh, I absolutely adore the cover of the book, this book. It's a completely brand new book. It looks beautiful. It's called Black Wave by Michelle T. And it's all about a queer girl called Michelle. I think I've read like the start of it. It's basically semi-autobiographical. I think she's living in San Francisco in 1999, and it's basically, yeah, a story of how she navigates her life. And I just think the cover's beautiful. It sounds fab. And yeah, it's just really kind of like forward thinking. So this is like my halfway marker, so prepare yourselves. It's Intimacy by Hanif Kureishi. I've read The Buddha of Suburbia by him, which is fab. I think it's a poem. I had to read it for uni and I really enjoyed it. So it's all about the end of a relationship. And how men cope with that, which I think is going to be really interesting, because as a general rule, I think that men react a lot worse to breakups than women. They're aggressive, and I think women get a lot of stick for being like my psycho ex, and I just don't think that's true. I think, yeah, I think everybody reacts badly, and well, we all know why women get like the blame for it, because we're too emotional. Tone down the rant. Okay, so this, I love the cover of this. I think it's really pretty, it's nice and simple, and now I want to own all of the books that are like this, so sorry little bookshelves. This is Lady Susan by Jane Austen. As a general rule, I don't really like Austen's books, but I think they're important to read, and this one's nice and short, so I can just read it very quickly and be like, I've read another Austen novel, because I just don't, in comparison to authors of her time, I just don't think she's as good. And I know so many people love her, but I'm more of a Bronte girl. And something completely different now. This is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig, which I've wanted to own for forever. For ages I thought it was a kind of like self-help book, and that's what put me off it, but now I've realised it's actually a fiction novel. And I think the cover again is really, really pretty. The blurb says, Tom Hazard has a dangerous secret. He may look like an ordinary 41-year-old history teacher, but he's been alive for centuries. From Elizabethan England to Jazz Age Paris, from New York to the South Seas, Tom has seen it all. As long as he keeps changing his identity, he can stay one step ahead of his past and stay alive. The only thing he must not do is fall in love. I follow Matt Haig on Twitter and I think he's fab. He's always got really insightful tweets that have about 10,000 retweets on every single one. And yeah, I just think, as I said before, I like historical novels, so it'll be quite nice to see one that spans lots of different parts of history. And I don't even know why I've never picked this up before. So this is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I own, I can't remember what it's called, but it's her first detective novel written under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith. This is obviously one that she's actually written under her own name, and it came out later than the Robert Galbraith one. But yeah, I love Harry Potter, everybody loves Harry Potter, and I really want to see what she can do with her writing in a non kind of fantastical setting. Yeah, I think I thought it was going to be some kind of thriller, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just kind of a general adult fiction book. It's quite thick, but I'm going to put my faith in Rowling and hope that she doesn't disappoint me, because I'll be very upset if she does. Okay, so back to young adult fiction. This is I Am Number 4. I've really wanted to watch the film, but I can't remember why I haven't. I think my partner just wasn't interested in watching it, and I rarely ever watch films on my own because I just don't have the attention span. It's by Pittacus Law, and the blurb says, "In the beginning we were 9, 3 are gone, 6 are left. They caught number 1 in Malaysia, number 2 in England, number 3 in Kenya, and I am number 4. I know that I am next." So it sounds intense, and it sounds like loads of books I read when I was a teen that I absolutely adored. I read all of the kind of Scott Westerfield novels, and I can't even think of the name of the authors that wrote the other ones, but they were all kind of these children being like hunted. The Philip Pullman trilogy, his Dark Materials, I kind of like that as well, and I don't know, something about it I really like in a weird way. So this is probably my favourite cover of anything that I've bought recently. It's Pure by Andrew Miller, and it was the 2011 Costa Book of the Year. The blurb says, "Paris 1785, a year of bones, of grave dirt, relentless work, of mummified corpses and chanting priests, a year of rape, suicide, sudden death, of friendship too, of desire, of love, a year unlike any other he has lived." Again, another historical novel, my baby. And it's just, I really, really like French history because I studied it at school as well. Right, so I read The Kite Runner earlier this month, and it broke my heart into tiny little pieces. I was absolutely in love with it. It was something that I kept trying to put down and then kept picking up because I couldn't put it down. And I own 1,000 Splendid Suns, so it made sense to buy And the Mountains Echoed, which I think Khaled Hosseini's only written 3 books. I'm not 100% sure, but as far as I'm aware, he has. And the blurb says, 10-year-old Abdullah would do anything for his younger sister. In a life of poverty and struggle with no mother to care for them, Parry is the only person who brings Abdullah happiness. For her, he will trade his only pair of shoes to give her a feather for her treasured collection. When their father sets off with Parry across the desert to Kabul in search of work, Abdullah is determined not to be separated from her. Neither brother nor sister will know what this fateful journey will bring them. So the author just has such a powerful way with words that I can't even explain because it's too good. So, and this is something that I actually went in and I saw in the shop and I left without it, and I went back a couple of days later. I was like, no, I need this. It's The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. I'm sure we've all seen the film with Daniel Radcliffe in. That was weird, and I hate horror films, and I don't know why I agreed to watch it because I know I hate them, but I don't mind reading them so much. I really enjoy gothic novels, and this one was just a really, really pretty version of one. So, and it's quite short again. I've gotten quite a few short ones this month and quite a few long ones, quite a few in between. So A few months ago I bought Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and I've followed it up with 100 Years of Solitude. I haven't read Love in the Time of Cholera yet, but I've heard absolutely incredible things about both of these books. They're kind of classics, I guess, but everybody's that I've ever spoken to about either of those books, they've all raved about them, and I thought, again, the cover's just very different to something that I would normally pick up, but I do really, really enjoy it. Enjoy it? I like it. Right, and again, with striking covers, this is Race by Toni Morrison. I've read something by Toni Morrison that I can't remember the name of. It was really good. It was genuinely really good, and I own a couple of books by her, and I think it's important to educate ourselves about racial issues, and Toni Morrison is somebody who's really great at discussing them. Did she write The Bluest Eye? If she did, I've read it. Thinking about it. But yeah, I think it's really important to educate ourselves and to learn more, and not learn more by talking to other white people, because that makes no sense. And my final book, I promise, is a sci-fi book called Orphan X. It's about a kid trained in a top secret program to kind of resolve situations that the government doesn't want to even acknowledge happened. And he leaves the orphanage, goes on the run, and he's being hunted down. So I guess it's kind of similar to I Am Number 4, but I just, yeah, as I said, I really like books like that, and I haven't read some in years, so I thought I may as well give it another go. And that is it. I promise there's no more. I've got myself back under control. I'm really, really hyped to read some of these books this month, because there are some fab ones there, as I mentioned. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video and that it wasn't 3,000 years long, but it probably is. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye.